It's a world of deceit, intrigue, and greed. Second only to drugs as a source of illicit underworld funds. A world where only forensic science can tell the real from the fake. Enter the world of forensic science, the science of crime, where a suspect's guilt or innocence can hang on a single piece of evidence. Pablo Picasso, perhaps the most famous painter of the 20th century. Each work is an artistic treasure and is worth more than its weight in gold. If it's genuine, that is. Exhibit A, a Picasso. A precious work of art? Or worthless fake? The mystery begins when an art broker offers an etching to a prestigious art gallery. The gallery assistant, Judah Skolnick, is always on the lookout for fine art. But something about this etching stirs her memory.
I said, there's, I don't know, something funny here. And I said, oh yeah, here's the image, all right, but you've got the mirror image. This is not authentic. Someone has done like a photographic or other kind of reproduction, but backwards.
William Welland, the gallery owner, is stunned. Then he panics.
God.
He remembers that only the week before he paid $250,000 for a painting offered by the same broker. At the time, he was delighted to acquire a striking oil painting by Frederick Varley, one of Canada's famed Group of Seven. At the turn of the century, this group of artists captured the stark beauty of the Canadian wilderness. One of their paintings had recently sold at auction for $1.4 million. Could the Varley also be a fake?
He was enraged. He then said, I'm going to call the police. I think there's something wrong here.
Welland's call is handled by Detective Neil Stokes.
At the time, and I must be honest, I didn't know much about art at all, and I was treating it more as just a property crime, a very simple property crime.
But Neil Stokes is about to discover that art crime is like a virus. It can kill the reputation of everyone connected with it. Collections can become worthless. Careers can be ruined. The Varley must be authenticated and quickly. Welland points out that the provenance or label on the back dates the painting to 1914 at the beginning of Varley's career. Detective Stokes is intrigued.
Stokes was just fascinated, even though it wasn't something he knew very much about or had ever come into contact with. He just liked the whole idea of it. And we were thrilled to be helping him to kind of solve this mystery.
Stokes' first step is to contact Interpol, the international police organization. One of their sections investigates stolen and forged works of art.
Art can have a tremendous value. The forgery of art provides you or provides the criminal or people involved in criminal activities with easily accessible cash, which they can use when required. I think it has been mentioned quite often by investigators that there is a close link between art crime, narcotics, and the traffic of arms.
Interpol advises Detective Stokes to have the disputed painting sent to the CCI, the Canadian Conservation Institute in Ottawa. The CCI often works in conjunction with police to fight art fraud and forgery. Stokes begins to search for the source of the forged etching. He brings in the art broker for questioning. Where did she get the Varley and the fake etching? She's only too glad to tell her story. She was contacted by a Frenchman living in Toronto. He told her a hard luck story about needing to sell some family artworks to raise money. To test the veracity of her story, Detective Stokes gets her to call the Frenchman to say she's returning the etching. The Frenchman is furious. He threatens her with violence. Stokes assures her he'll only be steps away the whole time. Once the etching is in the Frenchman's hands, the police will spring their trap. In the meantime, the Canadian Conservation Institute begins its analysis to date the Varley. The CCI scientists can call upon a battery of forensic techniques.
We always start with what we call non-destructive techniques, which means we don't actually touch the painting, we don't remove paint or any material. That includes what we call scientific photography and also radiography.
The CCI uses these techniques to discover any alteration or retouching of a painting, a quick way to help spot a counterfeit.
We have another non-destructive technique, which is called X-ray spectrometry. And that technique gives us information about the chemical elements that are present in the paint.
In the 20th century, patents were obtained for new pigments, and this is most helpful to date a painting. Marie-Claude Courbet zeroes in on the white paint. If it contains titanium, then the Varley cannot have been painted as early as 1914, since titanium white was only developed in 1923. Back in Toronto, the frightened art broker leads Detective Stokes to a flea-bitten hotel in a derelict part of the city. Her mission is simple: drop off the etching. The first part of the plan goes well, but the Frenchman turns nasty. Fortunately, Stokes is there to greet him. Under questioning, the tough guy quickly caves. He claims he's only a little fish, a go-between for the real mastermind who paid him to sell the etching. This is one part of art crime that Neil Stokes knows how to handle without lessons.
The Frenchman was willing to cooperate with us and make contact with the big fish, and told him, okay, I've got the painting back from the appraiser, come and pick it up. Use the little fish to kiss the big fish.
The question is, who is the big fish, and will he take the bait? Detective Neil Stokes has been plunged into the world of international art crime. At stake is a Varley painting worth $250,000 and the reputation of renowned gallery owner William Welland. So far, police have nabbed a little fish who tried to play the shark and got caught in a police net. Detective Stokes instructs the Frenchman to set up a meeting with the mastermind. The Frenchman knows his freedom hangs on getting him to leave the hotel with the fake etching. In the end, threatening revenge, the mastermind leaves with the incriminating etching. Detective Stokes quickly moves in and arrests his mark, a man who identifies himself as Piero Bustamante. But Bustamante smoothly claims that this is all a terrible mistake. Under questioning, Bustamante says he's as baffled as the police. The etching a fake? Not possible. The Varley? It's a wonderful painting. If both works of art are fake, then he too is the innocent victim of a vicious fraud. Police don't have enough to hold him, but they continue to delve into Bustamante's past. Stokes gets a new piece to add to the puzzle. Judith Skolnick, the gallery assistant, remembers lending the authentic etching to Bustamante about 3 years ago. He had said he wanted to show it to his lady friend before he bought it, but he returned it the next day. Meanwhile, at the CCI, X-ray spectrometry reveals the presence of titanium in the white paint, which dates the Varley after 1923, 9 years after it was allegedly painted. To confirm her findings, Marie-Claude Courbet will have to take a tiny sample from the painting.
The most challenging aspect really is, I think, the sampling of works of art, because of course we cannot take huge amount of material from original work. So this is quite a critical step in our examination. All the techniques we use, they are specially designed to look at extremely small samples.
Marie-Claude Courbet will study a minute sample of white paint using X-ray diffraction, a technique which produces patterns like fingerprints. Back in Toronto, Neil Stokes obtains a warrant to search Bustamante's home. At his fashionable loft, police find Martine, Bustamante's lady friend, but no Bustamante. They also seize a veritable treasure trove of artworks worth more than $1 million.
We came out with almost 70 to 80 paintings, etchings, all sorts of artwork. We also found a mylar sheath that was used for photo reproductions. So one of the charges was possession of instruments for forgery. So that was a real incriminating piece of evidence.
Stokes suspects that the mylar sheath was used by Bustamante to create the fake etching. Bustamante is charged with theft, attempted fraud, and with possession of instruments of forgery. Despite the evidence, Stokes suspects it will be hard to make the charges stick against Bustamante. But he has a strong ally in William Welland, who is more than willing to teach him about the world of art. At his bail hearing, Bustamante makes an audacious move. He pleads for his liberty.
He told the judges that he needed to go back to Europe to find the artist or the person that sold him these paintings to prove his case, and that he would be vindicated when his day in court came. And much to my chagrin, they gave him bail, and I was actually ordered to give him back all the works of art that I couldn't prove at that time were part of a criminal offense.
While Bustamante is in Europe, the CCI completes its examination of the suspect painting.
In the case of the Varley, we found that famous titanium white. And not only that, but titanium white can exist in two different crystalline forms. One was developed in 1923, the other one in 1938. And the one we found was the one developed in 1938. So we're very far from the 1914. That was supposed to be the date of the Varley. The
Varley is a fake. It is Detective Stokes who delivers the CCI's devastating findings to Welland. It's a crushing blow. He's lost $250,000 and his reputation is tarnished.
I'm sure underneath there was a loss of pride. The money was considerable, but he really felt that this was something that could not be perpetrated on the public.
Bustamante appears to have won the first round, but will his luck hold out against Neil Stokes and William Welland? Detective Neil Stokes is locked in a fierce battle with the suspected mastermind of an art fraud, Piero Bustamante. Free on bail, Bustamante has left for Europe with his companion, Martine. That's when Stokes discovers that Bustamante has already served time for art fraud. And according to Interpol, he is the prime suspect in numerous other international art scams. Then one night, thieves break into a major Ottawa art gallery and steal several valuable artworks. Among them is a print by Pablo Picasso. When Stokes tells Welland about the break-in, Welland explains that the thieves may have a hard time fencing the Picasso. Fine art prints are made in limited editions and each is numbered as it is printed, making it easy to trace. Back from Europe, Bustamante is spotted walking on Gallery Row. Stokes seizes the opportunity to serve Bustamante with papers to reappear in court on the original fraud charges involving the etching and the fake Varley.
So I went up there to serve him the papers, and like an idiot, he opened the door and let me in. He was very cooperative, acting like we were best friends.
Stokes immediately recognizes the Picasso. He knows he must quickly get a search warrant to recover the print before it disappears back into the art underworld. The next day, Stokes is back at the loft. The Picasso has already disappeared. But the game isn't over yet. Stokes places Bustamante and Martine under arrest. She insists on changing clothes before going to the police station. After Martine slips into the bedroom, Stokes hears the noise of furniture being moved. As soon as she reappears, he searches the room. There, under the rug, is the missing Picasso. But only a forensic examination can prove if it is the stolen print. Once again, Stokes turns to the Canadian Conservation Institute for authentication.
Neil's hypothesis was that that print was genuine. It was an original Picasso print. And he was sure that the number had been changed just to hide the provenance of that print. By looking at the paper through a microscope, high magnification, you could really see that the paper fibers had been disturbed. You could see the motion, the fibers were disrupted. Now, we were able to detect and confirm that a number had been erased.
Stokes' art education has paid off. His theory is correct. The Picasso found at Bustamante's is the one stolen from the Ottawa Gallery. Bustamante is charged with possession of the stolen Picasso. He will also have to face justice on the previous charges of forgery and theft, brought in connection with the counterfeit etching, the fake Varley, and several valuable stolen paintings. Based on the evidence, police detail their allegations about how Bustamante operated. He presented himself as a sophisticated art collector. This gave him access to works of art, some of which he copied. He also acquired works that had been stolen, perhaps even at his orders. Police are also convinced he paid forgers to create counterfeits signed with the names of famous artists. He then found middlemen and innocent dupes who sold the art to unsuspecting victims. And all the time, Piero Bustamante and Martine reveled in the luxury paid for by his criminal activities. But for Bustamante, the game isn't over yet. Before trial, he offers a plea bargain, a reduced sentence in exchange for helping police recover other stolen works of art. He's given the lightest sentence possible, 2 years less a day.
It hurt me to see that the judicial system allowed this ringleader to carry on and gave him such light sentences that he would be released in a short time to get out only to carry on.
For gallery owner Welland, Bustamante's light sentence is a terrible blow. In less than 2 years, the mastermind who ruined him will walk out a free man. Two years later, after a lifetime of selling fine art, William Welland closes his gallery. He organizes one last grand exhibition. He borrows many valuable paintings from other galleries and collections. That night, the back door of the gallery is smashed. Several of the most valuable paintings are stolen. Only weeks before, Piero Bustamante had been released from jail. The sad truth is, in the nefarious world of art crime, the criminals often end up holding most of the aces. The stories on Exhibit A are based on true cases. The forensic scientists and investigators are the actual individuals who worked on the cases. The names of the victims are fictitious.